Lockdown in Spain is very strict. We're only allowed out for essential shopping like food and medicine. People with dogs are allowed 2 30-minute walks per day. I'm lucky in my apartment with plenty of space and a terrace overlooking beautiful gardens. Some families are in small apartments with children and no terrace. Only one parent allowed out to do the grocery shopping. I have my space and solitude. They have each other. I'm sure both situations will prove to have different challenges. Thankfully, I'm usually okay with my own company. I love reading. Novels and poetry mostly, but anything really. Lockdown has allowed me to disassociate myself from a lot of the negativities. A lot of the difficult environments I had been, well, the unhelpful environments I had put myself in, really. Essentially, it has allowed me to regress. I went back to an earlier time in my life. Psychologically, an earlier time in my life of more openness. And that's when I realised that I have what is a different aspect to my personality. There was no language to describe it back then. Memories and feelings I've managed to suppress for decades are resurfacing. I'm nervous, but I've started experimenting again. I've ordered some things online to be delivered. When I was 14, I had a really good school friend, and the two of us dabbled in gender identity. That's to say, we dressed up together when we should have been doing homework. My friend looked absolutely gorgeous, stunning, whereas I looked exactly like what I was. A 14-year-old second-row rugby player in a frock. I had 0 passing privilege and was horrified by the results. I interpreted this as me not being able to be myself, but being attracted to transgender women. And that was my identity set for most of my life, really. Although I've always described my sexuality as pansexual, in that I'm pretty much gender blind when it comes to who I might be attracted to as a sexual partner. The Voice Book for Trans and Non-Binary People. A practical guide to creating and sustaining authentic voice and communication. It gives a thorough account of the process and includes exercises to change pitch, resonance and intonation. Each chapter features insider accounts from trans and gender diverse individuals who have explored or are exploring voice and communication related to their gender expression. Understanding the challenge of change. To communicate is to take a risk and be vulnerable. Throughout my life, I thought I knew myself, thought I'd got it right. I was a cisgender man who was attracted to transgender women. In my attempt to settle down, which failed miserably, I was married to a cisgender woman and I have a daughter as a result of that. But since then, all of my relationships have been with transgender women. So most of my adult life has been either within or around the transgender community. The year I separated from my wife was the worst year of my life, effectively. I lost access to my daughter. My mother died. I wasn't really living a healthy lifestyle. I decided to clean my act up, stop drinking. I was still enjoying my job, but I wasn't really enjoying my life. I hated myself for disliking myself, and that I wasn't really resolving any of my gender issues. Passing privilege is just as the word suggests, really. If you can blend into society so well that no one realises that you're transgender, you have passing privilege. Some people do this so well that the transgender community calls it ultimate passing privilege. They go through life without anyone even in their inner circle realising that they're transgender. And I know a few. I know a lot more who don't have it. But there are also some who have given that passing privilege up. I've always secretly had makeup and women's clothes, as opposed to the kind of gender-neutral clothes I'd been wearing for many years. It was only a bit of eyeshadow or mascara, whatever, never in public, I have to say. And I just kind of accepted it as an eccentricity. You know, it was part of pop culture in the 80s. But lockdown is allowing me to do something about, well, something I wouldn't have called transition, although that's what's happening. To address some of my gender issues is what I would say. There are markers that, at first glance, can give away an adult transgender female who transitions late in life. When someone transitions really early in life, they don't go through male puberty, so those markers aren't present. When you transition after male puberty, it leaves markers which can pretty much give away that you have a history of testosterone in your system. On reflection, things that didn't seem particularly relevant to my gender identity now feel more relevant than ever, as if it was all part of me trying to conform, trying to please, make everyone happy except myself. I've been in Spain over 20 years now, and I thought I moved here for the weather, the beaches and the lifestyle. But now I think, subconsciously, It was escapism, distancing myself in preparation for the inevitable changes that had to take place. A lot of my life was spent in the military. Most of my childhood was basically pointing me in that direction. My dad was in the military. A lot of military children follow in their parents' footsteps, but he was against me joining. I think he thought I wouldn't be able to hack it. He was pretty upset when I joined the RAF at 19 without his consent. I was in Riyadh during the First Gulf War, when Saddam Hussein was sending Scud missiles in our direction from Baghdad. I left the RAF after 9 years' service and started working in the commercial airline industry. My career spanned 36 years, working in various roles, from which I took a great deal of pleasure. I need groceries. This will be the first time I've been in a public place dressed as me. For me, bravery is when you do something that is scary, but you're not doing it for your own benefit. There's no self-interest involved. The self-interest here is sheer survival. If I don't do what I'm doing, I won't survive. Mustn't forget my mask. The streets were empty, but the supermarket was fairly busy. Everyone follows the lockdown rules here, wearing face masks outside of home, hand sanitising on entering the supermarket. It's been a really strict lockdown in Spain, thank God. I walked home via the seafront. Odd to see the beaches empty this time of year when usually they're packed with tourists. But nothing is the same anymore. The experience was thrilling. The feel of the warm Mediterranean breeze brushing my blouse against my bare skin. It was still scary, like stepping off a cliff in the pitch dark. Even then, when you find out that the cliff was only 2 inches high, it was still a cliff when you stepped off it. It took courage to step off that cliff in the dark, but the end result was really very benign, and the alternative was probably death. So I don't think there was any bravery involved. There was just such a huge impetus to do it. There's no turning back now.